Let's develop our motherlands with our innovative inventions. Tell the entire nation about your invention that could change the future. WhatsApp us on 0777 6000020. Let's rise up and build our nation together.
Gammadda, B-Force, Innovation Nation.
Good evening and welcome to Primetime News. I'm Sandro Ferdinando. Now, if you go back to the ancient days, Sri Lanka was well known for its ancient hydraulic systems. What you see behind me is the Lanka irrigation system that efficiently manages water to agriculture and human consumption purposes. This was also recognized as a globally important agricultural heritage by the Food and Agriculture Organization. So this is just one example of innovations in Sri Lanka. Now, during the past few days, we saw many innovations being introduced to the battle against COVID-19. Maybe you are one of those who have done these innovations at home but have not got highlighted. So we have given you the opportunity now to share such innovations with us via WhatsApp
to 0777 6000020.
and we will ensure to encourage you and support you. Let's rise up and build our nation together. With that being said, let's now take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Signs of postponing elections. Date not finalized yet. An issue with regard to the validity of nominations.
A
group of people stranded in Colombo due to curfew sent back to their villages. Samagi Jana Balawegya says the party will not attend Prime Minister's meeting on Monday.
A meeting took place between the National Election Commission and political parties today. The discussion revolved around matters concerning the date of the general election.
The National Elections Commission, following a meeting between its members, met with the secretaries of political parties which would be contesting the general election today. A final decision had not been reached on the date of election during the discussion, which lasted for about 2 hours.
Many political parties were of the view that the election should not be held now. There were several other political parties which wanted the election to go ahead. However, the Election Commission said they cannot decide on this now and that they would make a decision within 2 weeks based on the situation in the country. The meeting ended in a stalemate. We did not arrive at a final decision regarding the election. We believe that it will take some time before a final decision is made in this regard. The ballot numbers will not be issued until the date of the election is finalized. The Election Commission will decide on the date after the 11th. 90% of the parties were of the view that the election should not go ahead. How can we conduct an election when a suitable environment does not exist? What we say is that we should first win over this pandemic. We should protect the lives of the people and then conduct the election. The election is a process which involves the participation of several sectors such as post and public administration. We requested the Election Commission to consider the dangers that could be faced by these sectors and the risks that they could be exposed to. The chairman of the Election Commission should discuss this matter and refrain from conducting the election unless the people are protected. The people should think wisely and block any moves to conduct the election.
Meanwhile, views were also expressed regarding the nomination list for the election.
We pointed out that there is no possibility of conducting the election if we cannot distribute leaflets among houses and conduct at least small meetings. We agreed to arrive at a final decision in a few days depending on the situation. There is another issue regarding the nominations that were accepted on the 16th, 17th and the 18th. That is because the Public Administration Minister had declared these days as holidays. Therefore, the chairman of the Election Commission said that there is an issue regarding the validity of this nomination.
Views were expressed regarding the term of the National Election Commission as well.
ඒ විතර නෙමෙයි මේකේ තවත් හෙළිදරව් වුණ කරුණක් තමයි ස්වාධීන ඡන්ද කොමසාරිස්.
Another issue that surfaced during the meeting is that the term of the 3 members in the Election Commission will end by the first week of November. It is good we know about it so that we understand the impact that a delayed election can have on the Commission. We have repeatedly said that all matters should take place in a legal manner.
ස්වාධීන කොමිසම තුල එතන බාධාවක් ඇති වෙනවා. ඉතින් මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් අපි නිරන්තරයෙන්ම කියන්නේ නීති අනුකූලව කටයුතු කරන්න ඕනේ කියන එක.
A fundamental rights petition was filed with the Supreme Court by Attorney at Law Charatha Gunaratne seeking an injunction order preventing the general election from taking place on the 20th of June as planned. The FR application notes at a time when the COVID-19 pandemic is spreading in the country, conducting an election puts the lives of the people in a very dangerous position. The petition also seeks an interim injunction order invalidating the Gazette issued by the National Elections Commission for conducting the elections on that day. The National Elections Commission, its chairman Mahindra Priya and its 2 other members, Secretary to the President P.B. Jayasundara, Director General of Health Services Dr. Anil Jasinghe and the Attorney General were named as respondents in the case. The petitioner notes the decision taken to cancel the election, which was scheduled to take place on the 25th of April, and to declare the 20th of June as the day for the election is a violation of the Elections Act.
The Samagi Janabala Vega said that it will not attend a meeting between the Prime Minister and the former parliamentarians at Temple Trees next Monday, that is the 4th of May. Now issuing a statement, General Secretary of the Samagi Janabala Vega, Ranjit Madhubandara, said that the practical course of action would be to reconvene Parliament under the former Speaker. The Samagi Janabala Vega said that it is shocked by the double standards displayed by the government, as the Prime Minister has invited all 225 former parliamentarians for a meeting, while the President and the government have criticized the old Parliament. In its statement, the party recalled the manner in which it had warned of the danger of the coronavirus a few months ago. The Samagi Janabala Vega pointed out that it had supported the government's efforts to combat the virus, although the government has disregarded the warnings and committed several mistakes in its mechanism to eradicate the coronavirus. The party noted that it had acted diligently due to the coronavirus, although the government had imposed an unlawful curfew for 6 weeks. The statement accused that the government of misusing the curfew and arresting social media activists, granting curfew passes to their allies, and politicizing the relief distribution process. The Samagi Janabala Vega questioned the government as to whether it has seen signs of success during its 6-week-long campaign against the virus. The party pointed out that the rise in the number of infections in the country is of serious concern, especially when foreign nations have imposed lockdowns instead of curfew to flatten the curve. The Samagi Janabala Vega observed that security personnel are at risk of contracting COVID-19 as they have not been granted sufficient medical supplies or training to face the pandemic, although their assistance has been obtained in the country's fight against the virus. The statement recalled that all leading opposition parties had written a joint letter to the President on the 26th of April expressing unconditional support to the government in order to restore the situation to normalcy, instead of attempting to topple the government. However, the Samagi Janabala Vega lamented that the President has failed to issue a polite reply through this official in this regard. Following are some of the views expressed by Mr. Akila Karya Bariswam.
Meanwhile, the United National Party said it will attend the meeting on Monday.
All political parties have been invited to Temple Trees. The meeting has been convened to discuss matters about the COVID-19 situation in the country and the prevailing political situation. We have received an invitation and we have decided to attend the meeting. If we refuse to do so, they will accuse us of avoiding the meeting. This is a place where we can share our views and opinions as a political party. We hope to reiterate our stance on reconvening Parliament. We have no hope of mollycoddling the government. We believe we should first think about the general public, act in an unbiased manner without any political agenda.
හුරුතල් කරන්න අපි යන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ රටේ ජනතාව ගැන හිතලා දේශපාලන න්‍යාය පත්‍රයකින් තොරව කටයුතු කරන්න ඕනේ කියලා අපි විශ්වාස කරනවා.
Leader of the Janata Vimukti Peramuna Andra Kumar Dissanayaka, in a letter to Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, had said that his party would not be attending the meeting. The JP leader had said that convening a meeting with all former parliamentarians at the Prime Minister's official residence instead of reconvening Parliament, which has legislative powers, is a futile exercise. Dissanayaka stated that solutions to constitutional issues cannot be reached through such meetings. He urged the government should either reconvene Parliament or seek a determination from the Supreme Court. Former parliamentarian Dharmalingam Sindathan has said that the Tamil National Alliance will attend the meeting between the Prime Minister and former parliamentarians. The Tamil National Alliance has decided to attend the meeting convened by the Prime Minister with all former parliamentarians next Monday. The leaders of the three parties constituting the alliance had arrived at this decision. The coronavirus has become a serious issue. The people are living in fear. It is not good if the government targets the election and attempts to portray that the virus has been eradicated.
Meanwhile, former JVP MP Jinnadasa Kithulegoda said former MPs who represented previous parliaments have also been invited for the meeting due to take place on Monday. According to the former MP, he had received a phone call from the Prime Minister's office stating he was invited for the meeting as MPs from previous parliaments were invited as well.
Former Speaker Karu Jayasuriya said he will not contribute to the constitutional crisis in the making by convening Parliament unilaterally. In a statement, the former Speaker said he is only bound to act in compliance with the Constitution and court rulings as it is his responsibility to the nation.
While politicians continue to debate whether Parliament should be reconvened or whether elections should be held, the people continue to suffer amidst many difficulties.
මීට වැඩිය නම්බු හිඟා ගන්න එක දැන් මේ සති ගානක් තිස්සේ ඉඳන්ම මේ ෆෝම් පුරවගෙන අර මේ මෙතන රස්තියාද වෙනවා ලැජ්ජ වෙනවා මෙතෙන්ට ඇවිල්ලා.
A tense situation arose when the residents of the Thelavala Grama Seva division arrived to obtain the 5,000 rupee allowance given by the government.
දියුණු පෙස්සන් ඉස්සෙල්ලා කිව්වා එහෙන් ගෙන්න එක. දැන් කියලා නැත්නම් මෙහෙ හැමදෙර මේ හැමදෙර කෙනෙක් කොහමද දියුණු පෙස්සන් දෙන්නේ? අපි එහෙ ඉන්නවා බව දැනගෙන. රුපියල් 5000 ගන්න ආවේ. අදත් නැහැ දැන් දවස් 4ක් ආවා. මගේ වයිෆ්ට ආසනීපයි. අයයට අංශභාගේ. මම තීව්‍ර රසයන් දරුවෝ දෙන්නෙක් ඉන්නවා. දැන් මාස ගානක කිසිම ආධාරයක් ලැබිලත් නැහැ. එතකොට දැන් මේ ලියුම තුන් පාරම ලියුවා දැන්. ප්‍රාදේශීය ලේකම් කිව්වා මෙතන ඉන්න ග්‍රාම නිලධාරීන් ඕන.
The district secretariat said that this locality was subjected to quarantine and so to help them. I came here this morning and was going to bring the money tomorrow. How can we pay the money? There are appeals to consider. There are a lot of people who are boarded here. We can't pay them. There is a system. If the husband and the wife are boarded together, we can pay them. That is what we are checking from morning. People are gathering here. They don't understand what we are telling them.
අපිට දෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒතර ඒව තමයි මේ චෙක් කරන්නේ. ඉතින් මේක චෙක් කරගන්න විදියක් නැහැ උදේ ඉඳන්ම. මෙතන සෙනක පෙරලා ඉතින් මෙතන මේ මිනිස්සුන්ට කියන දේක් තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ.
Meanwhile, the 5,000 rupee program has also been carried out successfully in a number of areas. One such example is the Aravula North Grama Niladhari division in Casbava. The development officer in charge of the administrative ward stated that the allowance had been given to 700 families. Under the third phase of the program, appeals on the payment of the allowance will be received tomorrow.
Director-General of Health Services Dr. Anil Jasingh has stated that no new COVID-19 patients have been reported. He further added that 10 patients have recovered completely, taking the total number of recoveries to 172. While there have been a total of 690 patients reported from the island so far, 511 are currently receiving treatment for the virus. Meanwhile, the Director-General of Health Services further added that 179 suspected patients have been placed under observation in centres around the country.
Meanwhile, a group of workers stranded in Colombo left for their hometowns today. The police had assisted at least 300 employees to return to their hometowns from the Vijay Kumaratunga ground in Paliyagoda.
You will be dropped off directly at your homes. You cannot meet anyone other than your family members. We have issued letters instructing you to undergo self-quarantine. Police officers in your respective areas will monitor you for 14 or 21 days. If you do not abide by these instructions, it will cause obstructions to the others who also want to return to their hometowns. We have made these arrangements based on the advice of the President and the Governor of the Western Province.
These employees had been transported to their hometowns in keeping with health and safety regulations. This is the manner in which the people and the buses were prepared for the journey. Expectant mothers and mothers with infants were also among those who returned to their hometowns.
ගොඩක් ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙනවා. අපි දැන් මෙහෙට ඇවිල්ලා මාස 3ක් වෙනවා. දැන් මාස එකමාරට මේ අධික කාලයක් මෙහාටලා ඉන්නේ ආගන්න විදිහක් නැතුව. සිද්ධ වෙනවා අපිට යන්න දුන්නු එකට.
මම ආවසේ මාස දෙකකට කලින් ආවසේ මට වැඩට. අතේ සල්ලි නෑස. ඒකෙන්ද ආයෙ ගෙදර යනවාස. බියගම ප්‍රදේශයේ හිටියේ බෙහෙවින් ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙනවා.
Meanwhile, the Chief Medical Officer of the Colombo Municipal Council, Dr. Ruwan Vijayamuni, expressed the following views regarding the coronavirus patients in the Colombo district.
කොළඹ නගරයෙන් කොරෝනා රෝගීන් 124 දෙනෙකු වාර්තා වෙලා තියෙනවා.
124 patients have been reported from the Colombo district since the 12th of April. 3 patients were identified the day before yesterday. We carried out 139 tests on people yesterday. However, all of them tested negative for the coronavirus. Based on the results of the PCR tests, we can observe that we have managed to stop the virus from spreading outside Bandaranayaka Mawatha and Dabare Mawatha, in which outbreaks were reported. We can overcome this disease when antibodies are developed against it. If 60 or 70% of the people have developed antibodies, then we can be confident that the people are in a safe situation. I think it is too early for us to make conclusions as this disease is new. The Sri Jayawardhanapura University is investigating into this.
අපේ ප්‍රජාව තුළ තිබෙන බව මම හිතන්නේ තාම කල් වැඩි මොකද මේ රෝගය තවම අලුත් එය සොයා ගැනීම සඳහා ශ්‍රී ජයවර්ධනපුර විශ්වවිද්‍යාලය මේ වෙනකොට කටයුතු යොදමින් තිබෙනවා.
Meanwhile, an individual suspected to have contracted COVID-19 who was under medical supervision had attempted to escape the Colombo North Teaching Hospital. Our correspondent said security officers had brought back the patient to the hospital. His test reports were negative. Currently, there are no COVID-19 positive patients receiving treatment at the Ragama hospital. They are all directed to the IDH. At present, only individuals suspected to have contracted the virus remain under medical supervision at our hospital. The general public and locals do not have to fear. We seek support from the general public.
Meanwhile, in overseas, United States Food and Drug Administration authorized the emergency use of Remdesivir, an experimental antiviral drug to treat COVID-19.
Emergency authorization does not mean that the drug is FDA approved, a standard that only comes after a detailed review showing that a drug can safely and effectively treat a particular disease. The agency can issue an emergency use authorization known as EUA for unapproved medical products that may help treat a life-threatening disease when no approved alternatives are available, and that's what it did here. According to the agency's authorization letter, the authorization does not mean the drug was proven to work by the FDA's usual benchmarks, but that the known and potential benefits of Remdesivir when used to treat COVID-19 outweigh the known and potential risks of such products. Under the authorization, the drug can be used to treat patients who are hospitalized with a severe enough case of the disease that they need to be given supplemental oxygen or placed on a ventilator. Pharmaceutical company Gilead, which makes Remdesivir, previously announced that it plans to give away its entire existing supply of the drug, enough to treat over 140,000 patients. Gilead said in a press release that the US government will be in charge of distributing Remdesivir to hospitals, but it is still unclear when the company will start to ship the drug under the new authorization. Donald Trump also said the US Food and Drug Administration had granted authorization to Gilead Sciences Incorporation for emergency use of its experimental antiviral drug Remdesivir to treat patients with COVID-19.
I'm pleased to announce that Gilead now has an EUA from the FDA for Remdesivir. And you know what that is because that's been the hot thing also in the papers and in the media for the last little while. An important treatment for hospitalized coronavirus patients. And it's something, I spoke with Dr. Khan and Dr. Fauci, I spoke with Deborah about it, and it's really a very promising situation.
Gilead Sciences has agreed to donate 1.5 million vials of the drug to help patients.
We want to make sure nothing gets in the way of these patients getting the medicine, so we made a decision to donate about 1.5 million vials of remdesivir.
The World Health Organization organized a meeting of vaccine manufacturers and national regulatory authorities from the Southeast Asian region.
The virtual meeting saw leading manufacturers from India, Indonesia and Thailand discuss timelines and production capacity, while regulatory bodies deliberated on adjustments that would be needed in process to make COVID-19 vaccines available at the earliest. India, Indonesia and Thailand are among the world's largest vaccine manufacturers. Dr. Poonam Khetrapal Singh, Regional Director of WHO for Southeast Asia, said, quote, "The manufacturing capacity that exists in our region is of the quality and scale required to produce and roll out a COVID-19 vaccine globally. This region is a vaccine manufacturing powerhouse and it must now also play a lead role in overcoming the ongoing pandemic," end quote. Dr. Singh said, quote, "We are also working to ensure that once developed, safe and efficient COVID-19 vaccines are available to all of humanity," end quote. Several steps must be completed before COVID-19 vaccines can be used on a large scale. These include preclinical and clinical trials, production, licensure, deployment of vaccines and plans for post-marketing surveillance. Globally, more than 120 potential vaccine candidates have been proposed, and WHO continues to track their type and progress. 7 candidate vaccines are already in clinical evaluation and 82 vaccines are in preclinical evaluation. Last week, WHO launched the Access to COVID-19 Tools Accelerator, which brings together key global health actors, private sector partners and other stakeholders to accelerate the development and production of COVID-19 essential health technologies, including vaccines, and to help guarantee equitable access. The launch of the initiative comes in the wake of a UN General Assembly resolution through which member states called for all countries to have equitable, efficient and timely access to all future vaccines developed to fight COVID-19.
A new high-pressure ventilator developed by NASA engineers and tailored to treat coronavirus patients was approved by the Food and Drug Administration for use under the FDA's March 24 Ventilator Emergency Use Authorization.
Called VITAL, which stands for Ventilator Invention Technology Accessible Locally, the device was developed by engineers at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Southern California to free up the nation's limited supply of traditional ventilators so they may be used on patients with the most severe COVID-19 symptoms. The Office of Technology Transfer and Corporate Partnerships at Caltech, which manages JPL for NASA, is offering a free license for VITAL and is reaching out to the commercial medical industry to find manufacturers for the device. The emergency use authorization allows for use of the device specifically for COVID-19 patients with the aim of addressing the acute demand for ventilators during the coronavirus pandemic. Like all ventilators, VITAL requires patients to be sedated and have an oxygen tube inserted into their airway to breathe.
Worldwide, the number of confirmed COVID-19 infections stands above 3.34 million with nearly 239,000 deaths and approximately 1.05 million recoveries.
People are walking, jogging and cycling on Spanish streets for the first time in weeks as the country's tight coronavirus restrictions are eased. Spain have suffered one of the world's worst outbreaks of the coronavirus, more than 213,000 cases and 24,500 deaths, and imposed a stringent lockdown in March. Princess Charlotte has delivered homemade care packages to those in need during the coronavirus crisis. New pictures released to mark her 5th birthday show the young royal helping her family take the food to the elderly and vulnerable in the Norfolk area in England, near her home of Amer Hall in the Queen's Sandringham estate. The Indian government has made it compulsory for all public and private sector workers to use a smartphone app designed to trace people who may have been infected with the coronavirus. The Indian government said the world's biggest coronavirus lockdown will be extended for 2 weeks beyond May 4th, but with some easing of restrictions. The Home Ministry said in a statement that in a view of significant gains in the COVID-19 situation, areas with few or no cases would see considerable relaxation. India has recorded 37,336 cases and 1,223 deaths. Singapore has announced a timetable to ease coronavirus measures. Practitioners of traditional Chinese medicine will resume some activities from Tuesday, and other businesses such as hairdressers and laundry services will be allowed to operate from the 12th of May. There has been a significant fall in the murder rate in El Salvador, which is one of the world's most violent countries. According to the official data, there were 441 homicides in the first 4 months of the year, down 58% in the same period in 2019 when there were 1,059. El Salvador has introduced strict quarantine rules to try to stop the spread of the coronavirus. President Nayib Bukele has ordered the security forces to intern quarantine violators in so-called containment centers, but there are fears the virus is spreading in overcrowded prisons where many gang members are jailed.
We have more news in store for you, but first a quick commercial break.
Does your business belong to one of these marketing communication industries? The Market Research Society of Sri Lanka invites you to join a Marcom initiative to estimate the total value of the industry with the aim of engaging the government. WhatsApp 076 887 0757 to receive the registration link.
Welcome back to news. Continuing local news, more than 360,000 students are expected to sit for the GCE advanced level examinations this year. They are all facing the questions over the reopening of schools given the current situation and the holding of the advanced level examinations. Education authorities spoke on these matters on the AREN program telecast on our sister channel Sirisa TV yesterday.
The first thing is that the syllabus needs to be completed. That requires time, which is decided by the health authorities. If we cannot work in May or June, we will definitely need more time to complete the syllabus. A fair examination can only be conducted if these criteria are met. The children need time, and so do we. There are 364,761 students sitting the examination this year. Do not have any worries. The authorities, together with the Ministry of Education, will make a decision that is fair by the students. When reopening the schools again, the Education Minister as well as us have directed our attention to not taking all the students at once. Grade 13 is our first priority, then the students in grade 10, 11 and 12 and those sitting the scholarship examination. Here again, we will not call in all the students at once. In a class of 40, we will not bring all the students. We can bring 20 at a time from grade 6, 7 and 8. If the lower classes are not coming, maybe we can have students as a mixture as part of one class. Since all the teachers are present, we can start like that. We will be disinfecting the school premises and working together with the parents on how to bring the students back to school. This is a plan we at the Ministry of Education have developed together with the Ministry of Health. Minister Dala Salhaperuma commented about the reopening of schools amidst the current situation. There are two alternatives which we could follow with regard to the O-level exam. One is to postpone the exam. The other is to identify the areas which have not been taught to the students and exclude them in the examination papers. We will choose the option that is favorable to the students and that would relieve the pressure on them. We will arrive at a final decision after discussing it with the students and teachers. We intended to conduct the exam in August. Therefore, we don't need to rush the process of making a decision. We believe that we can announce the final decision by the time schools are reopened.
Here are some of the views expressed in the political arena with regard to the upcoming general election.
Several opinions were expressed on the need to reconvene Parliament, as well as the need to convene a meeting with the Prime Minister.
There is no legal or practical requirement to reconvene Parliament. There is no possibility of reconvening Parliament. Parliamentarians will not be able to maintain a distance of 1 meter during sessions. However, there is a possibility of maintaining this distance during the meeting at Temple Trees. The law does not force us to do something that is impractical. That is what has happened here. We are not asking to conduct the election and convene Parliament. Prepare a different plan to make decisions. We will not entertain any moves that will allow the government to make ad hoc decisions by saying that they convened a meeting at Temple Trees. Although the Prime Minister and the government are trying to do that, there is no speaker or mace at Temple Trees. The people have elected their representatives to speak before the mace. If they are trying to dampen democracy by conducting themselves in an authoritarian manner using the coronavirus, we will not tolerate it. We will take to the streets on behalf of the people. Amidst of all of this, they are dreaming of obtaining 2/3 majority. We cannot help it if the opposition does not utilize the opportunity given by the Prime Minister to express their views. The United National Party has agreed to attend the meeting. The opposition is asking for any opportunity to support the government at this time. Therefore, we have given a chance for all 225 former members to pledge their support. If they do not use that opportunity, then we cannot do anything about it. We are ready to consult the opinion of any party. Two discussions were held previously. However, the opinions of the opposition had been disregarded at that time. The opposition parties issued a joint letter to the president. However, they had responded to it in a very unpleasing manner. Therefore, we were questioning the purpose of attending this meeting. We requested the president to reconvene parliament that had existed for 5 years. The president has responded to this in an authoritarian manner. The opposition can put forward their concerns when they meet the Prime Minister. They are claiming that the country lacks a proper mechanism to eradicate COVID-19. They can make inquiries regarding that. The people are of the view that the parties which do not attend the meeting are groups which want to see the spread of the virus in the country and attempts to politicize any situation that arises in the country. During the Good Governance government, Andrew Kumar Dissanayake was an integral part of Temple Trees. Why didn't he make such a decision at that time? It was Andrew Kumar Dissanayake who protected the government during the Good Governance government. Ask Prime Minister Mahinda whether Ranil is attending the meeting due to a deal while other opposition parties have raised objections towards the meeting. If someone is assuming that the Samaki Janabalawega and the JP made a collective decision, then we would like to know whether Ranil and Mahinda also made a collective decision. Just imagine if each of the 225 former members are given 3 minutes to speak, that will amount to 11 hours. Therefore, this is just a media circus. We wish to tell the Prime Minister to convene a party leaders meeting and seek opinions. If he is willing to do that, we will attend that meeting. This parliament is not a toy. The parliament stands dissolved at present. When the country is facing crisis, we will not look at it through a political lens. The Prime Minister has called for a discussion and not to deliver a lecture. They can debate, counter-argue and express their views. They should express their stance clearly to the government when they are given an opportunity instead of hiding and making various remarks. On behalf of the government, I wish to request them to make use of this opportunity that has been given by the government on behalf of the people. The Prime Minister is now trying to convene the toy parliament and make a joke out of it. Parliament should be convened by the Speaker. They are doing this so that they can show that they have convened a meeting with all 225 members, and they say that there is no need to reconvene Parliament. Generally, it is the Speaker who convenes us in Parliament. However, I'm not sure if there is another Speaker at Temple Trees. We will not let ourselves to be deceived by Mahinda Rajapaksa's tricks. We do not know what is in there. Therefore, I feel that the opposition will not be willing to attend the meeting.
Residents of several areas who are unable to engage in their livelihoods have been left helpless due to the negligence of politicians and the impact of the coronavirus.
Strawberries are a favorite for any person touring Nuwara Eliya. Strawberries cultivated in Sri Lanka are exported to foreign countries and also fetch a demand among local tourists. The cultivation of this fruit contributes to the production of several complementary goods that are sold in the market. However, strawberry farmers have been badly affected due to the absence of local and foreign tourists. I incurred a huge cost to cultivate this. 3 people who work under me have lost their jobs. The buyers too have been affected at present. Farmers will have to think of new ways to recommence plantation if their current harvest is destroyed. This is because new strawberry plants are cultivated from the runners of the existing harvest. The problems of the pumpkin farmers in Villachia have worsened as they are unable to sell their produce. No sooner than officials provided a solution to this issue, their pumpkin cultivations have been hit by a fungal disease. Farmers say that their entire cultivation would be destroyed if the fungus continues to spread. I do not have any money. I cultivated this with difficulty. Now it is difficult to cultivate these vegetables. Agriculture officers do not visit this area. Shops recommend us certain medicines, but none of them have proven to be effective. This paddy field in the Sultanagoda area in Mathura is located near this pond. However, the farmers in this area have been unable to benefit from this water body. Farmers have been cultivating their produce using rainwater for a very long time. Farmers say they can engage in farming across 400 acres of land if the water is supplied to the fields through this pond. We submitted several proposals to develop this system. However, all these proposals have fallen deaf ears. It is our duty to protect this pond. Cultivation activities can take place across at least 300 acres of paddy fields during the Yala and Maha harvesting seasons through the water obtained from this. The promises made by politicians to resolve this issue when the elections are nearing. Several state officials might be watching this. We request them to visit this area and rectify this issue so that the people can benefit from this.
There has been a lot of focus on the difficulties faced by rural industries as a result of the economic downturn. However, analysts pointed out that large-scale corporates face serious challenges with dangerous consequences. Newsfirst touched upon the shipping and construction industries yesterday. And now today, we looked into the spice trade, tea exports and plantation sector.
The spice industry in Sri Lanka makes up for 56% of Sri Lankan agricultural exports. In 2019, spices and allied products made up 2.58% of total exports and generated an income of $204.15 million. However, at present, the local spice industry is struggling with several supply chain disruptions owing to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Even though the overall demand for spices has been increased in the world market, our exporters find it difficult to make the shipment on time. Even though the season for spices has been started, our farmers, traders, processors are finding difficult to get the people work at their respective places. At the same time, if the farmers are unable to harvest on time, this will lead to lower quality of product, and sometimes we may lose some of the quantity of produce, which will ultimately reduce the total turnover to the country.
The COVID-19 impact on worldwide logistics sector has also affected tea exports. In March this year, tea exports declined by approximately 50% when compared with the corresponding period last year.
The teas produced on the estates are brought to Colombo, and up to now all the teas are auctioned and the funds have gone back to the producer. But the exporters are struggling a little. We don't have the usual labor to work. Sri Lanka tea exports for the month of March were about 50% of usual. And April also, I think we can estimate it could be about 50% of our normal export volume. Our support services don't work in full capacity. Also logistics, some of the ships don't come to Colombo, and sometimes we miss vessels. We don't have regular sailings from Colombo to our destinations.
Despite disruptions to the export sector due to health and security restrictions, the plantation sector in Sri Lanka functions as usual. Speaking to Newsfirst, Secretary-General of the Planters Association, Roshan Rajadurai, said as the sector provides direct employment to more than 145,000 regionally and cares for a population of more than 1.1 million people, the sector was determined to resume operations amid tight health regulations.
On the ground, on the production level, our losses, because we are an unprecedented drought, I think one of the worst droughts in about 20-30 years. So that had an impact on the first quarter. Normally we have rains, and second quarter is a good quarter for crops. So we didn't have the rain. The global supply chain, although we manufacture, it has to leave our shores and go to the global market. And because of these lockdowns, and people will find it, consumers will find it difficult to access.
The Central Bank of Sri Lanka has extended the deadline for submitting requests for debt moratoriums and 4% per annum refinancing facility for 2 months working capital until the 15th of May 2020.
The eligible businesses and individuals are requested to contact their respective banks with necessary information or documents on a timely basis if they wish to avail themselves of the relief measures. These measures require the banks to extend the existing tenure of loans eligible for moratorium by the respective moratorium period. The central bank urged the borrowers to repay the installments subject to the moratorium during such extended periods without any additional cost, so that by receiving such funds, banks will also be able to strengthen their liquidity positions.
In some tragic news, a wild elephant calf named Pokuna has died in the shooting at the Udawalawe National Park. The Wildlife Office in Udawalawe said that investigations have been launched into the incident based on information received by area residents.
The carcass of the elephant calf had been discovered in the Panahadumulla area in the Udawalawe Forest Reserve. Wildlife officers and our correspondent had to travel on a boat through the Udawalawe Reservoir to reach the location of the deceased elephant calf. The carcass of the calf had been recovered approximately 2 kilometers into the forest. Wildlife officers said the elephant calf, believed to be around 6 or 7 years of age, had died approximately 3 days ago. This elephant calf, which had been brought up at the Udawalawe Elephant Transit Home, had been released to the Forest Reserve in 2018. Wildlife officers attached to the Udawalawe National Park reported facts concerning the incident to the Ambilipete Magistrates Court. Our correspondent reported that the magistrate had ordered to conduct a post-mortem examination on the deceased animal and to produce its tusks before court. The elephant calf had been brought to the Udawalawe Elephant Transit Home in 2013 after it was found abandoned by its mother in the Pokunatanne area in Udawalawe. Since its release to the Forest Reserve, the elephant calf was treated after consuming explosives.
North Korean state media says that Kim Jong-un has appeared in public for the first time in 20 days.
KCNA news agency reports that the North Korean leader cut the ribbon at the opening of a fertilizer factory. It adds that people at the factory broke into thunderous cheers of hurrah when he appeared yesterday. According to Korean Central News Agency, Kim was accompanied by several senior North Korean officials, including his sister Kim Yo-jong. The reported appearance, his first since an event on state media on the 12th of April, comes amid global speculation over his health. The latest reports from North Korean media could not be independently confirmed. Asked about Kim's reported reappearance, US President Donald Trump told reporters that he didn't want to comment yet.
There is a common misconception that exposing yourself to sun or to temperatures higher than 25 degrees Celsius does not prevent COVID-19. In fact, you can contract COVID-19 no matter how sunny or hot the weather is. Countries with hot weather have reported cases of COVID-19 as well. To protect yourself, make sure you clean your hands frequently and thoroughly and avoid touching your eyes, mouth and nose. Another prevailing myth states that being able to hold your breath for 10 seconds or more without coughing or feeling discomfort does not mean you are free from COVID-19 or any other lung disease. The World Health Organization states that this is not a viable test to determine whether or not a person has contracted the virus. They went on to note the most common symptoms of COVID-19 are dry cough, tiredness and fever, while some people may develop more severe forms of the disease, such as pneumonia. The best way to confirm if you have COVID-19 is with a laboratory test. You cannot confirm it with this breathing exercise. WhatsApp deactivation messages have been circulating recently, asking them to be forwarded to contacts in order to activate latest versions. However, the WhatsApp algorithm does not identify forwarding of messages as a valid registration or approval in order to update the application. These messages have been recognized as hoaxes by the WhatsApp company and urges users to not encourage nor believe these hoaxes.
Back in news here at home, after the April 21st attacks, there are so many families suffering in the Kotramulla Nathanya area in Puttala.
Following the April 21st attacks, a resident of Kottar Mullah, Mohammad Nizfa, lost his life in a mob attack in the area. A court case is currently underway regarding the incident. However, 1 year after the attack, the wife of Nizfa died after falling severely ill following the death of her husband. In conclusion, it goes on to prove that in the aftermath of the attacks, innocent people who had no involvement in it are still suffering, and that is unacceptable.
The Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals has dealt with more than 21,000 animal cruelty cases since coronavirus lockdown began in the UK.
Some 21,137 suffering animals have been rescued by the RSPCA during lockdown. Similar incidents of animal cruelty have also been reported in Sri Lanka. Newsfirst showed this deer whose antlers were cut off and the animal was left to wander in the Vinayagapuram area in Trincomalee in excruciating pain. Its eyes had also been severely injured. As human beings, it is our duty to protect these animals. If you witness any act of cruelty against animals, you could inform your nearest police station. You could also contact the Wildlife Department. Your vigilance stops animals from being harmed.
A special air purification device has been invented by a youth in Gampola.
Nuwan Anuruddha is a resident of Mariavatta, Gampola and a past pupil of Vikramabahu Central College, Gampola. According to Nuwan, this simple device designed to purify air will help medical staff to protect themselves from contracting the coronavirus when treating patients. This device designed by me is identified as Expirator Typhoid Sterilizer. It works by pumping air through the ventilator bent circuit. When the tube is connected to the exit point, the pumps are pumped into the exhaust air. The bottom of the device deposits the wet particles in the air. The exhaust air that goes up through the pump passes through the tube to the liquid in the gut, which is TCL. This combines well with TCL and it removes germs. In addition to this, the air goes through two other tubes with TCL, alcohol or another substance that destroys the virus and purifies the air. When this passes through two tubes, the virus will be destroyed. The device is under the supervision of Dr. Asanka Basnayaka and Dr. Panduka Mahamitava, a respiratory and anesthesiologist at the Gampola Teaching Hospital. One of the biggest problems in hospitals is treating these patients in an intensive care unit or ward because of the contamination of the virus inside the ward. I think we have found a successful solution to this problem in a cost-effective manner.
The Nagitumu Sri Lanka theme song was created to inculcate a positive mindset within the people of Sri Lanka. We leave you tonight with the Nagitumu Sri Lanka song, and I'm Sandro Ferdinando. Joining me tonight for the sign language interpreter was Tarka Gabriel.
හදන්න වෙහෙස වෙන වෙලාවේ ඔබේ අවශ්‍යතාවය හඳුනා ගනිමින් රට වෙනුවෙන් ඔබේ යුතුයකම ඉටු කරමින් සරලව ජීවිතය ජීවත් කරන්න.
Nagitimu, Sri Lanka.